From the post-millennial, Maine Superior Court orders Trump back on the ballot pending SCOTUS ruling. So this is good news. Trump has been allowed back on the ballot in Maine thanks to the state's Superior Court. On Wednesday, the court issued a stay of Maine Secretary of State Shanna Bellow's move to prevent Trump from being a candidate, arguing that no decision should be made until the Supreme Court of the U.S. has handed down its ruling. According to Fox News, in addition to staying Bellow's ruling, the court denied Trump's motion to supplement the record and stay proceedings. So the matter has remanded to Bellows for further proceedings as necessary in light of the U.S. Supreme Court's forthcoming decision in Trump v. Anderson, the case against the former president in Colorado that also seeks to keep him off the ballot there. I think the big risk right now, and the reason why they're doing it right now, Trump may win all of these. But how much do you want to bet come Super Tuesday, many states, California, for instance, take him off the ballot? Yep. And they make the argument, this is not the general election. No one's interfering in the general election. But Trump is off the ballot and Nikki Haley wins.
Yeah.
If that happened, there might be the first time we ever see a write-in candidate win.
I got to look more into this, but I'm hearing that like Virginia's trying to get away with they're trying to pass a bill that makes it so you can't write in a name. I got to look into that one. I got to verify that one.
Yeah, well, I think they're trying to print the ballots before the Supreme Court ruling comes down because I think they want to just say, oh, we can't do it now. We can't go back now. And that's going to be the big issue.
It's too late. It's 90 days. And so, look, we made the ballots.
You're going to fortify the crap out of the election already.
We already know they're doing it. They wrote the NBC News article saying that they're planning to stop Trump again.
They are absolutely trying to do everything they can to fix the election. This is not going to be a free and fair election. They will do anything at all to fix the election.
To defend democracy.
And everybody that believes them, you are so dumb.
Yeah, it's like a red flag when someone says that.
It's so bad. It is. It really is. And it's painful to watch. You know, people that you're friends with or that like you used to respect or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, man,
this is fine.
You know, he's after our democracy, and it's like, oh, so you're going to take him? You should take him off the ballot? Yeah, that's how you save democracy. Okay, all right.
The one I get is when they're like, Trump's a fascist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, this whole country's fascist. Let's just get that out of the way, man. We got the Federal Reserve at our back. Like,
well, it's worse than the Federal Reserve is worse than fascism. It's something different. Like at least with fascism, they're standing in front of you telling you they're doing it. They're doing it. You know what I mean? The Federal Reserve is basically like behind the scenes. No one pays attention, and it's shadow regulating, controlling how you can live your life.
Yeah, it's beyond corporate.
Yeah, fascism's too specific, right? The reference to. We need new words for these things.
I think technocratic, but claiming that the Federal Reserve is technocratic doesn't quite make sense. When they go digital, that central bank digital currency, I hope that gets shut down, but that's about as technocratic as I've ever seen. Something like that would be like, oh, this is a technocracy trying to take hold. But we need to maintain our republic.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really funny because in the statements that come from what was I reading? I was reading a statement from some Republican. They said, our republic. And when you read a statement from a Democrat, they say, our democracy.
All the time.
Yeah. And I was thinking about it because I did a segment today and I don't think I was articulate enough in what I was trying to explain, but I was thinking about a better way to explain it. It's really simple. A republic is when a guy from your state argues to neighboring states and to the federal government your view, your region's view on how how your laws should be, how the greater laws should affect your state or your city or whatever, and that the federal government has limited control or access to what happens in your state. A democracy would be everyone in New York voting on what Wyoming gets to do with their water. So in a direct democracy, the system they want, Chicago will vote, the people of Wyoming must leave. In a republic, the people of Wyoming laugh, cock their guns and say, try it. That was basically the democracy versus liberty as stated by Benjamin Franklin. So what we're seeing right now with Democrats is they do this. They try to, they make the argument that at the national level, they should be able to vote away the rights of the states. And the Republicans, and I mean that in the literal sense, not the Republican Party, make the argument the states decide what happens within the states. I see moving forward, it is obvious the Democrats want to do away with a with a Republicanist system.
It's funny because calling that party Republican doesn't mean that they value the Republic, and calling that party the Democratic Party doesn't mean that they have democratic values at all. Like they could be, those parties could be called the Red Party and the Blue Party.
But you're right about the names, but it is funny how the Democratic Party wants democracy and the Republican Party wants republicanism.
Yeah, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, they like to play these cult games, these people that have so much money, trillionaires and stuff, that they're so into the occult. I wonder if they're doing this out of joy. They're like, yeah, let's use the Democratic Party for direct democracy and then control with mob mentality.
Direct democracy would be the most brutal and awful system.
Especially with social media, with Google being able to twist the human mind and get 600 million people to click a button one day. Like the amount of mob force.
We got to do this. We should do this really soon. The idea I had for Democratic What's for Dinner, the idea being there's a list of ingredients. Everyone chooses their favorite ingredients. And then democracy is everyone gets to vote on what's for dinner. So you vote like, I like, spinach, and I like mint, and someone says I like red peppers, and someone says I like bacon, and then whatever the democratic rule is, we say, okay, we're gonna throw all of like the things that won get thrown in the pot, and it's gonna be the most disgusting meal you've ever had.
Yeah, because someone says like, I like cotton candy.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, first you decide what's for dinner: lasagna, pizza, sandwiches. Everyone then votes. The winner is sandwiches. The next thing that comes up is what's your favorite, vegetable? And so you'll end up eating like raw broccoli sandwiches with chocolate sauce. Well, that's everyone voted they like chocolate sauce. Everyone voted they like broccoli. We made dinner using what everyone voted on. The point here is I'm not going to go to a chef and vote on what he should use to bake to make me a nice steak. I'm going to say I elect Representative Chef Gordon Ramsay to oversee the production of my steak. I believe he's the right guy for the job. You take care of it. Direct democracy would be like the kitchen announcing all the ingredients and then asking you to vote on how it should be done. And then a bunch of people have no idea. The example I gave before is that if you asked people to vote on making cookies, I guarantee you, or I'd be willing to bet, the majority of people would vote no salt in my cookies. Because they don't understand and they assume, salt, you put sugar in cookies. You don't put salt in cookies, but you do put salt in cookies, you put a little bit. And so the average person not knowing any of this would be like, no salt in cookies. Are you nuts? And they'd vote against it. And then you'd get awful cookies. That's democracy.
And there's this constant psyop too, going to get people to think that democracy is the be all end all. There's no guarantee that democracy is going to produce positive results. I think the only guarantee is that you're going to have a majority of people that have, that say they want this and that's what it's going to be. But that doesn't mean that the majority of people know what a good outcome is to achieve whatever end they're looking for.
Yeah, evidence would show that a direct democracy is very bad for the minority.
It's bad for the majority. Direct democracy does not mean the majority rules, because direct democracy does not mean we vote one time and we're done. What kind of system do you want? Here's a big list of all the things we're going to do. We vote on it and we're done. Utopia. The majority live in the system they wanted. No, that's my point about making dinner. We're going to make grilled cheeses. What do we put on it? You're going to get chocolate sauce, asparagus, mushroom grilled cheese with vegan cheese. It's going to be the weirdest thing ever, because in democracy, you're always voting on something else coming up. And not everyone agrees. The majority does not agree on everything. There is no the majority. There is, on many issues, a majority here. On an issue, a majority here. You might say, hey, we found through a direct vote, through a survey, 51% of people out of 100 like pizza. We then found 51% of people out of 100 like chocolate ice cream. However, of that 51% of people who like chocolate ice cream, half of them like pizza and half of them like sandwiches. You get my point? Not everybody who likes pizza likes the same dessert. So if you're voting on policy like how should we deal with carbon emissions, how should we deal with fossil fuel, you will find different groups of people form the majority in every different area, which means when it comes to direct democracy, your system will be ruled by 2% of the population, the microscopic 2% that wins the majority on a bunch of different issues. And thus, for dinner, you will have a sub sandwich with green peppers, raw broccoli, chocolate syrup, mint, and I don't know, anise extract sprayed all over it. Just some weird amalgam of various groups that vote on the things they want. That's democracy.
What's the alternative?
A republic, where you say, I am going to elect a representative to actually go out and solve the problem. So instead of voting on the ingredients that I like, I tell Ian, here's the stuff I'm really into. I like green peppers. I like broccoli. I like chocolate syrup. And then Ian goes, totally get it. I'm going to go to the kitchen and talk to the chef. He talks to the chef and says, we're not going to do anything as stupid as put broccoli and chocolate syrup on a sandwich. But my guy for dessert likes chocolate. For dinner, he likes green peppers. And the chef says, how about we do a Philly cheesesteak? That sounds pretty good, right? And we'll do a side of broccoli salad because he likes that. That's a republic versus direct democracy, which is nonsense and ridiculous.
Yeah, you have the idea in a republic is that you have better men, in quotes. That's what they used to call them, better men that you would send to go make the decisions for you because they understand the things that they're deciding on. They understand implications and opportunity costs and things like that.
But still, we have the problem of snake oil salesmen with democratically elected representatives.
Money getting into politics really screwed things up in a just maybe almost unconscionable way. The amount of money that a corporation, that a PAC can give to one guy like DeSantis, what, 200, how much did he make? 99 million or something?
Well, I mean, right there, you're refuting your own argument.
Well, how so?
Because you're saying that money matters, like all the money that DeSantis, like money getting into politics is a bad thing. Look at all the money that DeSantis got, and DeSantis is losing.
Yeah, but if he had to do it on his own, then he'd be speaking his mind. He'd be more like into his campaign.
But that doesn't mean that he'd be winning.
No, I disagree. I
don't know.
Donald Trump spent so little in his first campaign run.
That's my point. Like Barack Obama or like Hillary Clinton spent like $1 billion and she lost.
One of the biggest mistakes people make is saying, I could do it if only I had money.
Yeah, it's not true.
Because I think the money makes people become subservient to the donors. It
absolutely doesn't.
Well, to give you an example of someone that hasn't become subservient to their donor class.
That hasn't become, well, there isn't.
Well, Marco Rubio made a really great point. When someone said, you're taking money from the gun lobby, so they're making you agree with them. And he's like, no. Because of my views on gun rights, the gun lobby makes donations to me. It's the other way around. There are people who will be beholden to their donors because someone comes up to them and says, look, we can provide your PAC $50 million, but we don't want you going hard on insert issue. And they might say yes. That does happen. But typically what happens is the lobbyists will say, who's the best candidate to get through a bill that's going to do this thing for us? Oh, well, candidate A. They go to him and say, we hear that you're very interested in these issues. Is that something that works for you? Yes, it is. Great. We're going to support you. That's typically how it goes.
The amount of money that like individual like politicians can take from a donor is not really all that high.
Like $6,000 or something.
Yeah, it's not really a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's why they have PACs. You can give money to PACs and they can do stuff that the politician would want to do, but they're not technically working together.
I just want to stress this point for everybody listening. Here's some financial advice. It's not literal. It's success advice. We'll call it that. Money is not your problem. It will never be your problem. The people who say things like, because I've heard this every step of the way throughout my career, if only I had the money, then I could do it. I'm like, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, somebody, we'll use journalism as an example. I wish I could travel around the world and cover journalism and do these stories. And it's like, okay, well, you need money to buy a plane ticket. You don't have the money. You can't do that, right? That's not where the job starts. Mm-hmm. The job starts with you going to your local areas and building what you can with what you can. And every day you're adding a grain of sand to the heap. I didn't start doing this show and traveling. And I didn't start out doing this by traveling the world. I bought a $20 bus ticket to New York and filmed things on my phone. Okay, but you need a phone. Fine, fair point. You need a certain degree of resources to do things, but it's not cost prohibitive to work a job that pays $15 an hour, save up to get a basic smartphone that can film, and then start filming things around your area where you live. Not only that, someone wants to get started doing this kind of work right now. Holy crap, is it easy. You're 18 years old, you get a job at Starbucks, you make $15 an hour, save every cent, sleep on a floor, sacrifice, buy a smartphone, take a bus to the southern border, and film every day and post on X for free. Guess what? Give it 3, 4, 5 months, you're going to have 10, 20,000 followers. Give it a year, you got 100,000 followers. All of a sudden, you're getting calls from every major network saying, can you come on the show and talk about what you're seeing? Yes, I can. A year goes by, and then you're having conversations with people where you're like, I'm an expert on the southern border. I've been literally down there for a year, sleeping outside, filming this stuff going on, and it costs you almost nothing.
I will say, Breanna, you actually walked away from, I imagine, a lucrative contract in your corporate career. Where were you working before you went independent?
So I worked in sports first, and I was going to jump on that next. But I worked in sports, and I went over to Fox, and then I worked in the media, the corporate media world from there on. But I was at Fox. I was working as a weekend booking producer for Marita Bartiromo and Wall Street Journal at large. And then I literally, when I got to New York City, which was very expensive, got back to New York City, they were like, vaccine or you're out. So ultimately, yeah. But you know what's so interesting too is I actually started my career by starting a digital sports radio show online, and literally with no resources, with the bare minimum, cheapest microphone and my laptop, like was able to somehow get like all these views because I ended up going viral in a couple of interviews, and then I got my job at MLB. And so ultimately, you really don't need that much. The difference is drive, though. There were so many people in my college who were like making up excuses. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. But drive is really kind of the difference in all of that. And most people don't have it, sadly, especially the generation coming up. They're all full of excuses, but none of them want to actually do the hard work. We're seeing that now.
I noticed that too. Like I pumped out 1,000 videos in 2006 and 7, and like 99% of them sucked. But those few that got traction got the eyeballs of people that then took me to the next stage of my life.
Yeah.
Building out social media.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.